mask, right? We put them on, we wear them, and we become them, or so it seems. Have you ever noticed that people will spend 2 hours getting ready to attend a gathering where nobody really notices or seems to care, and everybody insists, just come as you are? Apparently, just as you are means after moisturizing, styling your hair, whitening your teeth, and finding the perfect outfit, rehearsing your most interesting stories, and pretending your life isn't held together by coffee and questionable decisions. Welcome to civilization. Gatherings are fun, aren't they? Today, we're talking about something that quietly shapes almost every part of our lives. When society rewards appearance over authenticity, and not just physical appearance, but the appearance of success, of confidence, and happiness, and certainty, and, the general appearance of having all your shit together. You see, we fall in love with glow ups and say, look at them, living their best life. Meanwhile, the person who honestly says, I'm struggling, often gets treated like a damn pariah that broke some invisible social contract. And I think we have this saying, and we almost believe it, fake it till you make it. And that's interesting, right? Because every ancient tradition across millennia has said, be authentic, be real, be true. That is who you are. But society rewards performance. Everything has become some sort of filtered avatar of performance. The world is a big stage now, and we're struggling to tell what's real and what isn't anymore. It's even infiltrated relationships and connections. People have become more identified with their personas and online presence, which means they don't really know who they are anymore. So, that's what we're exploring today: authenticity or performance. And see, as humans, the thing is, though, we're born authentic, but somewhere we become inauthentic. We become performance managers, that curate everything. We edit everything. We filter it. We try to make our lives look neat and packaged, put together. I don't think it's time to be an impression and performance manager anymore. It really isn't. And it's not because doing all those things is bad or evil, but we learn this stuff through social conditioning. We learn that if we look good, we're accepted. Think about beauty and attraction. We're rewarded. Every time we're rejected for being ourselves, though, we learn a lesson. We want to belong, but that often comes at a cost or sacrifice to our authenticity. This is social conditioning once again. And it comes from this idea of wearing a mask. This has been an idea throughout century. The Greeks called it persona. It's this idea of actors wearing masks on stage to play somebody else. But the thing is, we're still wearing masks. And yet our stage in this lifetime, in this world right now, is everywhere. It's at the church, it's dating, it's social media, it's at gatherings, the grocery store. We can't even buy milk anymore without wondering what strangers are looking at us and judging us for what we're wearing. And it's exhausting. But society, though, if I'm going to be fair, isn't entirely wrong. Appearances matter on some level. You don't want to get caught wearing pajamas to your job interview. There is some basic tenets of information that appearance provides, but we know this, it's not everything. Okay? It really isn't. You can present well, you can look a certain way, you can talk a certain way, but that isn't everything. And see, the thing is, we've confused appearance for what's most important. And the problem, see, isn't appearance. The problem begins when appearance becomes more valuable than character or authenticity and, heck, what's real. That's where things become dangerous. We become experts at looking healthy while quietly falling apart, looking successful while drowning in debt, looking spiritual while treating people horribly, looking confident while secretly feeling inadequate, looking compassionate while never actually helping anyone. And you probably heard this before, but the image has become more important than the substance. And that's backwards. Ancient wisdom repeatedly warns us about this, not because appearances are bad or evil, but because appearances can hypnotize us. They can spellbind us. We mistake style for substance a lot. We start believing our own performance and performative nature. Moreover, we start believing we are our personas instead of treating them like parts of us. The mask becomes so comfortable that we forget what's underneath it. Have you ever wondered, or have you ever met somebody who genuinely doesn't know who they are anymore? They know what society says or implies. They know who they're supposed to be. They know what the rules say, what everybody expects. They know how to impress. But ask them, what actually brings them alive? What makes them alive? And pure silence. And that's tragic. And it's not because they're bad or defective. It's because they've spent so much of their lives making and creating this persona and these personas. And you notice this when people lose their personas, these masks, these roles. They've spent so much time putting into this that if they lose it, it's devastating. And they can experience profound existential depressive anguish because of it. And I got news for you. Modern psychology agrees. One of the biggest problems of distress is living too far away from your authentic values. It pays off to be you, to be really you, you know? And why not? Why not? Why not go the other way when the world wants to pull cellophane over you? Why do you need to be packaged all the time? Why do you need to sacrifice who you are for being accepted? You see, there are things that cannot be replaced in our life. And you can't pull cellophane over it. Connection, respect, real love, true love, the idea that you understand somebody else. You can't replace those things and many others. But to be accepted or approved plays a role in our DNA as humans. As humans, we've learned this over, evolutionary time, that to belong is to be approved, and we belong so long as we're approved of. Acceptance accepts you as you are where you're at. Approval means you're accepted so long as X, Y, and Z. And guess what? This has been magnified once again, no shocker here, but by social media. And it didn't begin with social media, but social media has totally blown this kind of thing up, where it's all about appearance. It's all about putting on your best self, your best life, according to the camera or the video or whatever. We filter, we edit, we compare, we polish, we make things look a certain way. Let's take the wrinkles out of my forehead. Let's make my skin look completely unblemished. All of these things we want to be approved of. But why do we need that so much when really secretly and not so secretly inside of us, what we're yearning for is to really be seen, heard, and understood as our authentic, true selves, though? So, what are you willing to sacrifice or not? And I don't think you should. I don't think you should sacrifice yourself. So the takeaway here is, let's think about this. Do you want to continue to be performative while that's dampening yourself and spirit? It is my belief that, we don't need to do this. We ought not to do this. And it takes a lot of upkeep to maintain this. We don't want to do this. We do it so we can feel like we are approved of and belong. But I got news for you. Let's not surrender our self-respect, our dignity, our integrity, our ability to look ourselves in the mirror and say, you know what? I I want to like myself. I want to fall in love with myself in the healthiest way possible. I want to be proud of myself because I'm living true to who I am. I don't think there has to be such a painful trade off between authenticity and appearance. I think we've fallen way head over heels, sort of infatuated in a sense, obsessed with the idea of making things appear as if everything's beautiful and pristine and perfect and flawless and put together and all of that. Can we just stop it? Can we stop the facade? Can we just be real about it? Real life is hard. Real life includes bad breath, runny noses, dirty diapers, the smell of funk, if you know what I'm saying, wrong turns, detours, you know, embarrassing moments. I mean, there's so much that can be said for it. Authenticity acknowledges that stuff. To be really who you are is a major stone and stepping stone in the path of recovering and rebuilding and rising and becoming. When I talk about spiritual alignment, when I talk about stepping in and falling upward into who you really are, I am starting here with authenticity. You have to sometimes get away from the things that continually pull you away from who you are. And yeah, that includes things that are valuable, even roles that you play, functions that serve you well. That might even be your major breadwinner. It could be your career. But I think to get to know ourselves again, we have to turn the knob down or learn to be better at setting the mask aside. I don't know that we need to, or I don't even know if it's maybe even possible to rid ourselves of the mask. I'm not sure that's the thing. But I think when we confuse the mask for being real, when we take the mask as reality, when we look at the photos on social media and start thinking, oh, you know, that looks great. That looks perfect. They look so happy together and have no problems. Where is my perfect life at? Where is my bright, shining, beautiful partner with nice, white, bright, shining teeth? Where are they at? The thing is, we begin looking at this stuff and confusing it as the real deal. And if we don't have that, or our lives don't reflect that on social media and otherwise, we begin to wonder, what's wrong with my life? What's wrong with me? And you know what? Maybe your life isn't exactly firing on all cylinders and it might not be in the best place that you want it to be currently, but you might actually be living from a place of more authenticity without all the filters and the curations and the tinkering of, making things look more neat, more polished, more beautiful, etc., etc. I just think I think it's invaluable for us to get back to who we are. And not only is it invaluable, but it is like the major stepping stone, if you ask me, and the major catalyst for change, for transformation. You want to live differently. You want to recover and rebuild and claim yourself again. You want to rise from your ashes and rise from, falling down, whatever that might be and whatever that may look like. I do think when it comes to that process, it is incumbent. And it kind of is not really something that can be taken lightly, but I think it's necessary and it's incumbent upon the person to begin the process of reflection through introspection, which ultimately I think, and I don't think, I know, leads to authenticity. And once you start that path, you start peeling back the layers. I mean, you really, if you're really on the path, in my view, you are someone who you're getting into it. You're digging in. You're you're not afraid to go places with yourself anymore. And it's not because you know, you're not fearful, and it's not because you're so courageous that nothing gets to you anymore. No, to go into yourself in the ways that authenticity requires you to, and to live a life of authenticity and authentic nature, you got you have no real option but to get comfortable with those parts of yourself that you'd rather not. That includes all of it. And we all have those sides. So I think instead of pushing those parts or those sides or those things that we don't like about ourselves and trying to put a filter over all of that, or to just sort of leave all that stuff in the background and act as if and live as if and to present as if none of it actually is happening, I think we suffer for that. I think we do. And it's a conflict with society, though, isn't it? I mean, think about it. We are rewarded for looking good, presenting well, talking well, being prepared, looking as if we're polished and neat and clean and, you know, all the things. We are rewarded for that. And people are drawn to us and attracted to us. And I think are generally, within reason, I guess, a little more. There's a lot of things that they can maybe correctly or not so correctly assume about us with that. But, but, we are not how our hair looks. We aren't. We are not the clothes we wear. We are not the money in our wallets. And I'm not going to say the whole line. I I'm not going there. However, there is a lot of truth in that. You are not the contents of your life. Those are tiny mirrors through which someone could possibly know you. And the thing about being authentic, living authentic, aiming for being more true and honest and vulnerable with yourself is that you help others invite themselves towards that more too. You help allow them to feel more trustworthy of you and more, they can kind of just be themselves. And the people that in my life, that I admire, respect, trust, have a deep connection with, these are people that have shared aspects of themselves with me, have opened themselves up with me, as well as myself with them. And I just, I kind of feel like we've lost it on this. Everybody's kind of become afraid, in a sense, of being themselves. Um, and that's why I think there is a bit of a I don't know, this comeback, if you will, of just you know doing and being as you are. You take bad picture, that's the one that goes on Facebook. You screw up on reading from a teleprompter for the 700th time on a YouTube video. You just keep on going, and you just try to reorient yourself along the way, which is something I've already done in this video a couple different times. But yeah, I think you gotta roll with it sometimes, and real life is about rolling with it. Authenticity asks you not to pretend as if you're perfect or you've got it all together. Authenticity goes, no, you're not, but that's okay. And the good news is Nobody else does either. And you have an opportunity to balance that, to live with it instead of in confrontation of it. You can come as you are, and that is enough, and that is okay. People that live that kind of life, authenticity over appearance, know that. And when you're around somebody like that, not only does that feel good, it helps you become a little bit more that way, and hopefully invites that door into yourself, to open that door to allow yourself in to yourself, to get to know yourself really. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You don't have to put on a show. You don't have to have all the fireworks, the bells and whistles. You don't have to have the filter on. None of it. If you need to cry, you need to vent, you need to be angry, you need to just kind of sit in silence for a little bit. Somebody who's living authentically, and who has empathy and compassion, among other things, that is almost like its own language. And it invites you to be more authentic. It's contagious. So, I'm ready, and I think you might be ready too if you're watching this, to be a little more real, to get real. And it's hard, but I think there's tremendous payoff. And it beats the heck out of trying to wear masks that I've outgrown, or that no longer fit, or just really aren't me. So, I will see you next time. This is Sacred Fox Consulting. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, we'll see you.